Hi everyone, welcome back to Data Cadence. My name is Rahul and I work as a senior applied research scientist. And today's video is something that is really close to my heart because I have personally been through quite a few data science interviews myself, and I have been on both sides of the table, that is as an interviewee and also served as an interviewer. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't always easy, but I managed to convert a good chunk of those interviews into job offers. And I believe that's what qualifies me to talk about this topic today. That is, top 20 reasons that you are struggling with data science interviews. And we're going to break it up into two parts. So, this is going to be part one. And we'll also talk about what you can do about these because these are very important. And my only request is to stick till the end because if you are someone who is experiencing issues and problems in trying to convert interviews into job offers, so I'm very sure that this video will be helpful to you. Because this list of reasons why you might be struggling to clear your data science interviews comes directly from my personal experience. These are not just some generic tips or bookish advice you can find anywhere. So every point in this video that we talk about is something that I have encountered either through my own interview journey or while interviewing other candidates. So I assure you that this is going to be very detailed, practical, and an actionable list that I hope will make a difference in your preparation. And this applies to both freshers as well as experienced people, and especially to freshers who are just starting out their career in this particular industry. And whether you are just starting out or you have been trying for a while and still find it difficult to convert interviews into offers, this video is for you. And I'll walk you through the most common reasons why candidates tend to struggle during the data science interviews and how you can overcome them. And hey, if you are interested, I'm also thinking about making another video on how to actually get those interviews in the first place. That is how to convert job applications into interviews. So do let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like to see. And also, if you have experienced any other reasons for struggling in interviews that I might have missed, so please feel free to share them in the comments so that others can also learn from them. And before we start the video, one last request is that if you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you are new here, then please subscribe to this particular channel because it takes a lot of effort to come up with these kind of videos and trying to deliver this particular type of content. And with that being said, let's dive into it. So the first reason and the most common reason that I have seen people struggle is the resume disconnect. That is explaining what you claim on your resume. And there are a few points that we will talk over. But yeah, this is one of the most common reasons that I have seen people usually struggle during their interviews. So first one is overusing jargon without understanding. So using buzzwords and complex terms on your resume might seem impressive, but failing to explain them clearly during the interview process can raise red flags. And you should be ready to break down jargon in simple terms in case the interviewer asks you about them. The second one is the inability to explain project contributions. So you should be able to discuss your specific role and contributions in a project. Don't claim responsibilities that you weren't directly involved in, and avoid sounding vague about your actual impact. And remember, you should never lie on your resume because interviewers are smart and experienced people. They can easily catch if someone is lying on their particular resume, and that won't turn up well for you as a candidate. The third one is not knowing the end-to-end process. So employers basically want to see that you understand the full life cycle of your project, right from data collection and cleaning to model deployment and evaluation. Gaps in this understanding can be a deal breaker for you. The fourth one is struggling to justify metrics or results. So if you have mentioned achieving specific metrics, it could be anything. It could be accuracy, precision, recall, and etc. You should be ready to explain how you reached at them, why they are important for the problem, and what methods you use to improve them. And not only the machine learning related metrics, but also the business metrics. If you are claiming that you were able to save, say, X amount of dollars because of the project that you did, you should have a clear understanding and justification of how that number is coming up, because not being able to justify that will land you in trouble. The next one is lack of clarity on challenges faced. So every project has challenges. Always in the real world, you will have challenges when you're working on data science problems. So it could be data quality issues, model convergence, time constraints, and so on. Unable to explain these obstacles you encountered and how you overcome them makes your experience seem superficial, and again, it doubts that you actually worked on that particular problem in depth or not. And the next one is overinflating responsibilities or achievements. So that is very similar to the second point that we talked about. So claiming ownership of an entire project or overstating your role can backfire. It's okay to mention if you work solo on that project, that is completely understandable, but be honest about what you did and give credit to the team wherever it's applicable. And the next one is failure to relate experience to the role. So tailor your explanation to the role that you are interviewing for. If you can't connect your past projects to the specific challenges or responsibilities of the job at hand, it definitely weakens your case. So whenever you are applying for the role, go through the JD, try to understand whatever is being asked from this particular job, whether you have done something similar in the past, and try to tie the connections between the two. That will be immensely helpful. So this was the first point. Let's go on to the second point now. The second point is lack of business or product understanding. So basically, you need to know a lot about business and product understanding, and just being good with the technical skills doesn't always help. So we'll cover some of the points. So the first one is understanding the business goals. So data science is not just about crunching numbers, it's also about solving business problems, and candidates should be able to articulate how their work aligns with the company's objectives and KPIs, that is key performance indicators. The next one is failure to translate data insights into actionable recommendations. So it's just not enough to analyze data, you must be able to translate your findings into actionable insights that can drive decision making and influence the strategy. The third one is limited knowledge of the product and the market. So understanding the product that you are working on and its market positioning is very crucial. Candidates should research the company's offerings, competitors, and industries before the interview, because if the company is in a very specific segment or domain and you don't have that particular understanding, it could backfire for you during the interview, because that shows that you don't have any interest in that particular company and you're not aware of what the company and the product is. The next one is not being able to identify the stakeholder needs. So successful data scientists collaborate with various stakeholders. Lacking the ability to identify and address the needs of these stakeholders can lead to irrelevant or ineffective solutions. The fourth one, or the sorry, the fifth one is neglecting the user experience considerations or the UX considerations. So data science solutions should enhance user experience. A lack of understanding in this area can result in models that don't account for how users will interact with the product or the service, and that can again backfire for you during an interview or also during a real project. The next one is missed opportunities for cross functional collaboration. So, data scientists must work closely with product managers, engineers, marketing people sometimes, and not understanding their particular roles and how to collaborate with them can hinder the project success. So, that is another important skill that you should have as a data scientist. The last point here is the inability to articulate the business needs or the business impact of the technical decisions. So, every technical choice that you make should have a clear business justification. Candidates should be prepared to explain how their data related decisions contribute to the overall success of the business. So, to summarize this particular point, you should have a good and a practical business or product understanding in order to be a successful data scientist. Let's go on to the third point now. Let's talk about the third point, that is basic programming struggles. So, again, as a data scientist, one of the most important skills that you need to have is to be able to write code. Although you might not be expected to write a code as good as a software engineer, because that's a different profile, but you should be good with basic programming skills, and that is where a lot of people struggle. So, inability to write clean and efficient code. So, many candidates struggle with writing code that is not only functional but also clean and efficient. Poor coding practices can lead to maintainability issues down the line, especially if you are working on a big project where more than one team member is contributing to the same project. There, it could really cause problems. Lack of understanding of fundamental concepts. So, struggling with basic programming concepts like data structures and algorithms can hinder problem solving capabilities. Difficulties in debugging and troubleshooting. So, candidates should be able to debug their code effectively. Inability to identify and resolve errors can indicate a lack of depth in the programming knowledge, and that could again turn out negatively for you. Failure to use version control effectively. Again, like I mentioned, if multiple people are working on one project, so being able to know basic version control and Git is very important in that particular scenario. And a lot of the data scientists might focus a lot on the fancy models that they might use, but again, using something like a simple version control like Git is the bread and butter, especially if you're working on large project in a big product based company. So that becomes very important. The next one is limited knowledge of object oriented programming. A solid understanding of OOPS principles is often very essential. Struggling with these concepts can prevent candidates from designing scalable applications. And if you're working at a small company where your projects are not going into the deployment, there you might not need this one. But if you plan to work for a company which is big and your code often gets into the deployment stage, so basically you are expected to write production level code, and there you need a lot of the OOPS concepts that you should be aware with. So things like classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and so on. You should be aware of all these. The next one is challenges in writing modular and reusable code. Again, candidates should demonstrate the ability to write code that is modular and reusable. Failing to do so can result in redundancy and increased complexity in the projects. The next one is inadequate practice with data manipulation libraries. So, for data science roles, familiarity with libraries like Pandas and NumPy is crucial, and they are essentially the bread and butter of a data scientist. Candidates should be able to use these particular libraries, and they should be comfortable in manipulating and analyzing data using these particular tools. The next one is poor algorithmic thinking. So, struggling to think algorithmically can make it difficult to approach complex data problems, and not being aware of simple things like time complexity and space complexity while writing the code can again be detrimental to you as a candidate who is applying for a data science role. So, let's talk about the next point now. So the fourth one is poor communication skills. Again, this is one of the most important skills expected of you as a data scientist. That is the ability to communicate clear and effectively. So the first point here is the inability to explain technical concepts clearly. So data scientists must convey complex technical ideas in a way that is understandable to non-technical stakeholders, because often you would be dealing with business stakeholders who might not understand a lot of the technical details of the work that you have done. The next one is failure to tailor communication to the audience. So, adapting communication style based on the audience is very crucial. Candidates who cannot adjust their explanations for technical and non technical audiences may struggle to gain support for their projects. So, if you are presenting to someone who is a technical stakeholder, you should present accordingly. And if you are presenting to someone who is a business stakeholder or non technical person, you should prepare accordingly. The next one is lack of active listening skills. So, poor communication isn't just about speaking, it's also about listening. Candidates should demonstrate active listening skills to better understand the stakeholders' needs and concerns. The next one is challenges in presenting the data and insights. So, being unable to effectively present the data findings using visualization tools can hinder the decision making process. And good presentation skills are often essential for sharing your insights to the business stakeholders. The next one is overlooking the importance of storytelling with data. So, effective communication goes beyond just presenting numbers, it involves telling a story, and candidates should be able to craft a narrative around their data to engage their audience and highlight the key takeaways. You should always start with the business problem and then try to slowly take your stakeholder towards the solution that you have developed and what kind of insights have you achieved with that one. The next one is inability to handle questions and feedback. So, candidates should be prepared to respond to queries and feedback during the presentations. Struggling to address inquiries can undermine their credibility and the authority that they have as a data scientist. The next one is neglecting written communication. So, poor writing skills can hinder documentation, reports, and emails. Communication is not just about presenting and speaking, it's also about written communication. So, clear and concise writing is very much essential for effective collaboration and knowledge sharing within the teams. The last point in this one is the lack of confidence in communication. So, nervousness and uncertainty when explaining concepts can diminish the impact of the message. Candidates should practice building confidence in their communication skills, and that is another very important factor when it comes to the communication skills. Let's talk about the next point. Yeah, so point number five is ignoring the math behind the models. And again, this is very important. So, lack of understanding of model mechanics. So, data scientists should comprehend how the algorithms work at a fundamental level, including the key mathematical concepts like linear algebra, calculus, probabilities, and so on. Because not being able to understand the details of the algorithm, especially that you have used in your prior projects, does not send a very positive signal to a potential employer, and it tells you that you are not a very detail oriented person and you are not a curious person, which is expected of you as a data scientist. The next one is inability to choose the right model. So, without a solid grasp of the underlying maths, the candidates may struggle to select the most appropriate model for a given problem, leading to suboptimal results. And that's why knowing the underlying mathematics is one of the most important things that you should focus on. The next one is difficulty in interpreting model outputs. So, understanding the math helps in interpreting the model coefficients, feature importance, and performance metrics. Ignorance in this area can lead to misinterpretation of the results. The next one is failure to diagnose model issues. So, knowing the math is important because candidates who ignore the mathematical foundations may find it challenging to diagnose problems like underfitting, overfitting, or inappropriate assumptions in their particular models. The next point is the limited ability to fine tune the hyperparameters. So, a solid understanding of how hyperparameters affect the model behavior is crucial for optimization. and candidates lacking this knowledge may struggle to effectively improve on their model performance. The next one is ignoring the assumptions of a lot of the statistical models. And many statistical models comes with a lot of assumptions like say normality, independence, and so on that need to be satisfied. Not understanding these assumptions can lead to flawed analysis and misleading conclusions. The next one is neglecting advanced techniques. So understanding the maths allows the candidates to explore more advanced techniques which can significantly enhance your model performance. The next one is difficulty explaining the models to stakeholders. So without a solid foundation in the maths behind the models, candidates may struggle to communicate the rationale behind their choices to, especially to technical stakeholders who understand how some of these models work. So definitely you should spend some time trying to learn the math behind the models that you're using. And next one is missed opportunities for innovation. So a deep understanding of the underlying math enables the data scientists to innovate and adapt existing algorithms or create custom solutions tailored to unique business challenges. And that's why you see that on this particular channel we lay a lot of uh, I would say focus around the math involving the machine learning models, and we try to discuss every interview question or every concept with a lot of the details around the math and how it works internally. So that is definitely one of the most important things that you should keep in your mind when you are preparing for a data science interview, and definitely knowing the math behind the models helps you become a better data scientist. Let's talk about the next point now. So the next point is skills mismatch for the role. That is, it could be the right role, but the wrong set of skills that you have got. So the first point here is lack of role-specific expertise. So candidates often apply for roles requiring specialized skills. So for example, a role could be very much tailored towards say deep learning, or say for example like NLP or computer vision or generative AI these days. And you might not have a lot of those particular skills. So that could lead to inadequate performance during the interviews. The second point is overemphasis on general skills. So focusing too much on general data science skills without demonstrating proficiency in the specific skills required for the job can result in a lack of competitive edge over the other candidates. And failure to showcase relevant projects. So not highlighting relevant experience or projects that directly align with the role that you are applying for can create a disconnect between the candidate skills and the job requirements. And this is something we also discussed previously, that you should try to tailor your resume as per the job that you are applying for. So definitely you should read through the JD and try to see if you have done some sort of similar work prior. The next one is inadequate understanding of industry specific challenges. So candidates should be aware of the unique challenges within the industry that they are applying to. Lack of this understanding can hinder their ability to address relevant use cases effectively. And again, it becomes very important as per this point also to understand more about the company and the domain that they are in for the role that you are applying for, right? The next one is missing technical skills listed in the JD or the job description. So job postings often require specific technical requirements, and not having these skills can disqualify candidates even if they excel in other areas. So that is something which is really important. Failure to adapt to evolving job requirements. So the field of data science is rapidly evolving, and the candidate should stay updated with the emerging tools and technical details or the technical frameworks relevant to the roles that they are applying for or which they want to pursue. The next one is inability to bridge gaps in the skills. So recognizing gaps in their skill set and demonstrating a proactive approach to bridging those gaps. Now this could be via courses, this could be via certifications, self projects, and so on. But laying a lot of focus on these can improve candidates' prospects significantly, and that should be a good practice for you as a data scientist. You should try to learn what you do not already know, and the field is so vast that there is always a lot of things that you would want to learn. The last one is misalignment of career goals and skills. So, candidates may have skills that are not aligned with the long term career aspirations, and understanding how to position their skills for specific roles is essential for a successful job search. Let's talk about the next point now. So let's talk about the last point of this video, because this is just the part one of this particular video. I will publish follow on parts soon after this one, because otherwise the video will become too long. It has already become quite lengthy. So the seventh point is being a generalist with no expertise in a specific area, that is being a jack of all and master of none. So again, it's very important because you need to have some specific skill set at which you excel, along with having a good general understanding of other concepts. So the first point is lack of depth in key areas. So being a generalist can lead to superficial understanding of important concepts in a particular domain that can make it challenging to tackle complex problems with that particular domain, right? The next one is difficulty standing out. So, in a competitive job market, specialized knowledge is often required to differentiate yourself from the other candidates. Because if not, then that might create a lot of issues and you might not stand out compared to the other candidates. The next one is limited ability to solve domain specific problems. So, a broad skill set without expertise can hinder the ability to address specialized challenges effectively in specific industries. The next one is inability to lead projects. So, candidates without a clear area of expertise may struggle to take the lead on some of the projects or initiatives that requires advanced knowledge. So, if there is a project which is going on around, say, something like computer vision, and you don't have a lot of experience or expertise in that particular area, so that's where you might face a lot of issues. And the ideal strategy is often a dual approach. So, you should strive for expertise in one or two areas, ideally in two areas, but definitely in one particular area. And you should maintain a solid understanding of the other data science domains to balance specialization and versatility, because knowing one area inside and out would really sort of help you in understanding that particular domain and taking the lead on those kind of projects. But you should also have a general understanding of other concepts in data science, so that you have the fundamental understanding if you need to pick any other skill set or any other specialization as per the project or as per the requirement. So these were some of the points that we discussed in part 1, and again, like I said, these are a lot of practical advice that comes from a lot of interviews, be it interviewing myself or interviewing other candidates. So definitely I hope that this will help you in becoming better at your preparation for data science interviews. And if you are someone who has been struggling recently with a lot of data science interviews and you can't convert interviews into job offers, so hopefully these are some of the points that will help you gain some perspective on what you can change and what you can do better. So definitely I hope that this particular video gave you some insights around that particular thing. So if you like this particular video, definitely do press the like button. That gives me a lot of motivation. And like I said, that if you found this interesting, do let me know in the comments so that I can work on the next and the subsequent parts, because there are a lot of other points that I feel are important and that you should pay attention to, especially if you are struggling to crack data science interviews. So I hope that this video gained some basically gave you some sort of perspective and importance. And with that being said, let's conclude this particular video. So I will see you in the next video then. Until then, stay safe, take care, and keep learning.